All right, guys, so let me make sure I got the right thing to open up on, and I'm going to share screen. So if you're not familiar, this is the new interface of SAM that is coming out. It's rolling out. Our schedule is set, and everybody should have this by mid-March. So there's another group getting it tomorrow, a couple weeks later, and then the last couple folks will get it in March. And today we're just going to focus on auto actions. I've got 4 different ones that we'll talk about, and then I'll leave some time for you guys to ask questions about auto actions that you might want to build. One of the first things that I think everybody and on what our guides talk about too is just having a real high level understanding of the table structure and fields. SAM is based around adoption and foster care. So when you are building auto actions, you're going to want to use tables and be specific on tables for what you're affecting. And what I think and what you want to start with is what most of the time these things are done on an update of a field. And so you're looking for a table that is related to your work. And I think this is challenging for a lot of people because there's a lot of tables in SAM. But generally, if you're like, I'm putting in a placement date, you're going to determine, is it a foster care placement, is an adoption placement, or I want a notification about a payment that's received. You're going to be using that account receivable table as an example. So real quick, high level stuff. I love this, all of these filters. I think it's an easy way to find things that you need. So what's your main entity type? If you're looking here, it's going to break it down, and then you can be really pointed to a pregnancy event or some other data that you're entering. So knowing what table you're going from before you start this is always really, really important to do. Only SAM leads can build auto actions. So the settings link is the little gear icon at the top right, and then we're going to focus in on auto actions here. When you get into this screen, this is showing you all of the auto actions that are enabled in your site. I do totally love the filters because it helps narrow down. There are some agencies that have thousands of auto actions built, so it is really difficult to navigate. I use all the time the action. Am I sending an email? Am I adding an alert? Like, what is the action that the system is taking? And then the different types of triggers. If you use the old version of SAM, you will notice in this new version a reduction in the triggers. For the most part, people are updating records or updating a field in order to trigger things almost probably 90% of the time. Like, I don't really have statistics on it, but it is by and large the largest number of things is like we're putting in a data entry point and we want an email to go out. That is happening a lot. But sometimes you'll also use a scheduled auto action if you are looking for something like an expiration date or a date that's upcoming in the future. And every day you want SAM to look and see on across all your records if the conditions exist that you input into the auto action, and then it'll take whatever action you've asked it to do. The other couple of filters that are here are on the tables, which is why I think understanding your tables is important, so that you could pull down and say, here are all of the auto actions associated with background checks specifically. And it hyper narrows down the auto actions that are enabled to that specific table. So that's really useful. And then the field is also like, for what specific field. So you may know this based off the field is like, I want to find the application receive date. I want to send an email to our team, something like that. You could also search by field and see if anything's enabled. I always recommend searching first to see if things exist before building something new. I think it's good practice because there's a lot of fields and a lot of stuff going on in the system. And over years and years with people using SAM, they may have different administrators come in and out. And so it's just a good practice to get into. Other things that are happening here, there's a link to create a new auto action, which is what we'll go through in a minute. The auto action schedule is a page. I'm not sure if in this version or in this site I'm going to have anything, but this shows you scheduled auto actions that are, when are they scheduled to run? What is that auto action? So you can see, you know, this one is not scheduled until the 9th, which is maybe Monday, whatever day the 9th is, to run. Let's go back here. This is a link that'll give you any auto actions that it's just a report that have some kind of generation error. So this is often used by our team to help you guys with stuff. We are putting things in place to help us prevent generation errors, but sometimes the way people build an auto action, or in this case, I'm pretty sure it's related to the template that's on it. It's like, it's got too many tables and too many things that are called, and the system's really confused and doesn't know what to do. So there are things in our back end that we're implementing to prevent this from happening, but this is helpful for you. If you're like, such and such auto action isn't working, you can copy this, go back over to settings, auto actions. I use the browser function to go find it. And if I pop in here, it's probably going to give me an error, right? Saying it can't do this. And we totally understand this is a little more technical than you might want to see. But this auto action isn't going to work. So it's really a lot of times based around the tables and fields that you've got on it that is creating the issue. Addressing the template error under advanced options, you can edit the template and pop in and open that. And I'm not going to affect this now because I think really and truly it's a table on there, but I don't want to deal with that right now. Then you may also have, the last link here is view disabled actions. And this is going to be, you know, again, people use SAM. I think we found our average is like 7 years. So over 7 years, the person who set things up originally literally may not be with you, or certainly doesn't know why things were set up and people disable things, etc. So you can view disabled auto actions as well. And I'm a very big advocate for cleaning up your site because there can be all manner of stuff just over years and years of creating things that do pull on resources of the site. And so just cleaning up after ourselves, right, is a good practice in general. So I am going to talk through, I'm hopeful to get through 4 auto actions, but we'll see where we get to. So I'm going to base one email. I'm going to start first with an email auto action where we're updating a field, and I'm going to do it on a multi-record table, the placements table, and it's the foster care placements table. You are able to replicate this with any other sort of multi-record table or any table in general. The actions that I'm taking, we're just going to be specific to one thing. So we'll create an auto action. Actually, because it is an email that I'm going to set up, I actually want to go and build a template real quick because there is not one that exists for this right now. So I'm going to go down settings and templates. I'm just going to create a template, and this is going to be a placement start email, something easy for me to find later. Oh, all right. My thing got changed. I'm going to base this under the child, and I'm choosing a multi-record table because I'm doing it based off placements. Almost always you're going to want, when you build a template, the case level. And that's because a lot of times emails are being sent to your team that has a role that's associated on the case. Okay, so like your social workers or your adoption coordinators or inquiry staff, those folks are generally assigned a role on the case level. So whether we're talking about a child or a family, that's probably where those folks reside. And so having that on is helpful. Those errors that we saw, what I see is if people copy templates from another template that was used, or they're not sure where data is, they just start clicking. Oh, you don't need to do this. This becomes, that's where the system is like pulling really heavily. And it's trying to pull in all that information, but it doesn't really need it. So you want it to be as focused as possible. So I'm going to press save, and I believe we're here. The little error note just is because I don't know what's going on, if it's my, what is it called? My browser. I'm fast when I type. It often renames stuff for me that I don't want it to do. So I'm just going to write a brief message here. Child was placed on insert. And now I'm going to use insert from Sam. This is new. Oh, y'all, I'm starting to forget what the old interface looks like. I think these options, some of them were on the main sidebar. Some of them were under advanced options. Anything that you're pulling from a record is under insert from Sam. Either pulling from a record or like inserting an image or inserting a link to a particular form or inserting a document. Anything you're going to insert into this template is going to be under insert from Sam. I'm going to add a field, and I'm going to pull in the placement start date. And then maybe I'll do this just one more time to replace the child's name with the actual, or instead of it saying this child, I'll put the actual child's name in there. So I'm going to choose the table. It's on the placements table. And I'm putting in the placement start date, save, and then I'm going to take this, delete it, insert another field. Here I'm going to the child table because that child's name is here. And I get a little, I'm going to use that, uncertain of which naming convention and how does it show up, just because there's a couple different ways. So you can play with that. Now that I have a template built, now I'm going to go back to auto actions, right? And so let me just make sure I start from scratch, the settings screen, auto actions, and then I'm going to create a new auto action. So the auto action name is up to you. There is nothing in SAM that automates this name, so we could call this ABC and it'll still work and send us an email. But coming up with some sort of naming convention that makes sense for your team is helpful here, especially if you have a series of auto actions that work together so that they stack on top of each other alphabetically. In time, we'll probably build in some things to either folder them differently or maybe even assign a structure to it. But right now it's up to you. And so I'll say this is a placement start. And if you've worked with me, I like to do this really is like it's a team email so that I'm really clear. And when everything lines up, I see a bunch of my team emails versus family emails. And this just kind of high level sets us as who is it going to. Executing more than once per record is an option for you if you want this auto action to happen again. Um, again on the same record. So this would be in this example, every time I add on one placement record, the placement start date, I will resend this email out. So in this situation, I'm going to leave this empty because let's say that I data entry the date wrong. I may just want to correct my date, but I don't want to resend an email. However, something that would be helpful in using this is like if you have a home study worker assigned to a home study and you change the name, maybe that person wins the lottery, then they're no longer completing that home study. We assign somebody else, and the new person, that same field is being updated, but now somebody new really needs to receive that email. That's a good use case for that. I imagine there's other use cases, but to keep it simple here. And then adding a memo is like, we want to, this is helpful because again, we may name something away and it totally makes sense to me while I am building this, but 3 years down the road, we may not really remember why. That happens regularly. So we can deduce why we set something up based on how the auto action is set up, but just putting some context or there's some new regulation or whatever that is the reason why is helpful. Oh, and let me go and edit this a little bit too. So I'm going to press save or edit the template a bit. Once I get through, once this page saves, we are asked to select what trigger first. So what is it that causes the auto action to happen? And so again, you only, in the current new version of SAM, you only have 2 options. So here we're going to update a field. And then the next screen is going to ask us, well, what field are we updating? This is under the child is where I'm going to initiate this, and under the case is where the placements is. Then I'm going to click on the placements table to then tell Sam what specific field on the placements am I going to update. So let me find this placement start date. I'll click there. Now we're at the criteria. So a lot of folks on the call have different programs, or maybe you work in different states. This is where you get to add additional criteria or conditions as to why this auto action would go. So in my situation right now, I'm going to keep it simple and not really add anything else. Just every time I add a placement record, I want this to go out. But you might add a filter where you're putting in like case program, right? And so here, probably want to clean up that list. What is this? Case program. So you'll want to know your tables and maybe saying it's foster care. That we're not going to do it when it's a permanent placement or domestic adoption. We're just wanted on this particular program. And then I will press save. I'm not really talking in this webinar about the different types of filters. I can do a different webinar on that specifically, but using and or and modifying your operators and getting familiar with that functionality is going to be helpful in building a more accurate auto action report, checklist, etc., wherever filters are used. At this point, we're choosing what is the action type. And so here I'm going to send an email. But I have other auto actions. I can add alerts. I can update fields, add checklists, and I can't remember without seeing that. There's one other thing right there. So here now I'm going to choose my template, and I'm looking for that placement start date template. Clicking that. And then I need to tell the system, who am I sending it to? So it's always going to have the main entity type emails at the top, but something like this, we're sending it to the team. We're not going to be emailing this child. Depending, you very well may work with youth clients that are older, and emailing them makes sense. In this case, it's not going to make sense. So under here, this is the different email fields that are available on the tables that are included on the template, which is why I told you about adding the case, because most of the time your roles are assigned there. So I want to put it on, let's see, do I have somebody? Nope. The agency caseworker, that's who I'm going to be sending it to, and their work email address. These are for, this is based on a person record. So these can only be filled out if the role you assign is associated to a person record, right? Or a family. It's got to be another entity type. It cannot be a text box field that says agency caseworker, and like maybe you've added a field that says agency caseworker email, and that field is on the child case. Sam's not going to offer you that as an option. It's only offering you the options that are connected to another entity type in your system. And that looks good. You can also add other email addresses. So you might always want this to go up to an info at inbox, or some kind of general inbox that you want. Or maybe it's always going to one specific person. The only challenge that people have when it goes to one specific person is if that person no longer leaves, you have to update all your auto actions, right? So assigning roles will help you in the long run, but you got to plan for that up front. So it's just a choice in how you want to organize things. And then you can also BCC folks. And then I think that's it. The only thing I didn't see yet, and maybe it's coming up, oh, it's on the next screen, is going to ask us, who are we sending this from? So Sam can't send emails on your behalf unless you have your email set up. So that is really a separate call. We integrate with Gmail and Microsoft, and you set up through OAuth. That process is fairly simple to do. So, but you'll have to either have your default at a bare minimum or other users set up. So if I choose another user, we can see these folks have emails in this particular system, and so I could choose it from somebody else, or the default, or I could set it by a specific role. So I could say, actually, this should always come from the agency caseworker to the agency caseworker, which probably doesn't make sense. But if you were sending something off to the family and you wanted it to always go, this particular group of emails going from the inquiry worker, you can set a specific role. Instead, I'm going to keep us simple because this is a team email. A lot of times the default email account tends to work. And then you can have a different reply to, and you can also choose to confirm before sending. And so confirm before sending will open up a pop-up when that field is entered that will say, do you want to send this? Do you want to personalize this email? Like giving you some options of what to do. So we'll press save. I've set it to confirm on this one because I want you guys to see it. But a lot of times emails going to the team can just go right off. So it's just a choice that you get to decide on what you want. And before I move further, I just want to action that out so that you guys can see it. I need a placement. Ooh, this probably, let me just double check this. Placements must be, let me just double check if placements start, filter out, entered values. Cool, I have some kids in here. So I'm going to open up this child record, and this is just an example child record. It's not real data at all. I'm gonna back up. Didn't I just look at placement start date is empty? And then maybe this kid obviously has other placements, is my thought, because I can see that placement start date is entered here. So yes, they have this one here. The only other thing I want to do is add an agency caseworker to it, because that's who it's going to. Let me see. So I've got here, and let me just double check my person record right here that I have an email address. Awesome. Okay. So now that I've got this data entered, right, we have a dependency on being able to send to that person's work email address. And then I want to click the start date. And now the system is opening up that email. It's grabbing the caseworker information and the email, and it's letting us know who we're sending it to, who we're sending it from, the subject line, because I did not change that on the template. I didn't change it to anything but just the name of the template. And then we can see our message in the new system. A lot of the buttons that were up at the top are now under this single button. So there's a little drop down here where you can edit the body. You could snooze this and say, I don't actually want to send this now, because maybe you're busy doing something else. You want to think about this in an hour. You can snooze it. You can access the auto action details if you're thinking, this doesn't make sense, or I actually need to change this. You can get back to the auto action details. You can also cancel. You might edit the body if you want to put more information into this to personalize it, especially for things that are client facing. If you've had a conversation with them and you just want to add some additional stuff outside of your pre-planned email, you can click there. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and send. It takes a little bit of time for this scheduled situation in the back end to then take that email and send it, and then also send it to the communications link under the child is where that should really go. And we can check here and see if it's there. And when I say it takes a little time, our scheduler runs every 2 minutes. So if something doesn't happen immediately, it's only because it's on a 2-minute timing. So it might be 2 minutes later, sort of a thing. As long as all your other settings for sending an email are functioning. All right, let's see. So I think what makes sense, we're going to run out of a little bit of time here. So I'm thinking about a different auto action. Let's maybe keep it on emails today, because that is the majority of auto actions that happen. If we get to some of the other ones, I'll go through that. But I think scheduling an auto action to just go through that scenario would be helpful. Let's pop in right here. I'm going to create new, and I'm just going to say expiring document. Okay, so this is, you could have this a whole bunch of different ways. Let me move here. Here we go. And I'm going to base this off the family. This is a multi-record, and I'm do family documents. And I will again choose the case. Generally, we're going to email to the social worker. This could go out to the family. What do I want to say? So I'm going to insert another field from the document, and I'll put in the document type is expiring on, insert another field, document expiration date, and then tell the user what you want them to do. I really think that's a helpful plan here. Instead of just telling them that it expires, if it were going to the family, do you want them to look at their in the portal, if you have an expiring document subform that's there that's showing these expiring documents, do you want them to upload it? Do you want the social worker to make a call out to the family? I don't know what you want, but just giving some additional information will help them, you know, what do you want the recipient to do? Right, giving them some information there. And then let's go back to settings, auto actions, and set this up. So we're going to create a new auto action, and look at me telling you guys to do something and then not doing the same thing. I wanted to look at family documents. So we have a document, one that's already set up to expire in 3 months, right? Now this happens every week on a Monday, but because we didn't work together on building this, I'm just going to create another one for this video. So create another one, and this will be document expiration reminder. We'll press save. Here we're going to set up on a schedule, and we'll tell Sam how often we want to do this. So you get choices of daily, weekly, monthly, annually. Let's just see, because I can't remember. Hourly. I don't really have a use case for hourly, but I'm sure something exists. One of the only, I typically set it up on daily. An annual one for like a birthday makes sense to me. Sometimes the weekly and monthly you'll miss the time because it wasn't expiring within that time period. So for the most part, I set this up on daily. We got to tell it when we want to do it. Ooh, what is that? So it's 10:34. Well, it's till 10:36, and hopefully I can get everything done by then. We're going to the family. We're looking at the family documents. And we're saying that the family documents, let's go here. Documents, document expiration date is not empty. Now, a document record has, it'll have an expert, like a driver's license that's uploaded into the documents section will have an expiration date of, you know, whatever it has, right? But if you've received a new driver's license with a new expiration date, you get a choice in how you want to use SAM. You can totally override that data. If your auto action does not set up to execute more than one time, it'll never re-remind you. Okay, it won't be able to because it's done it one time. You are also overriding data, which is a choice. My recommendation is going to be add a new record, a new document record in. It may not seem easier, but you're keeping an actual real history of that. So I have a field in here. Where is this documents? For, I think, is it called updated document receive date? And I'm going to put this as is empty. So when I upload a new document, I go to my old document and say, I've got a new version of this, right? And I got it uploaded on whatever date it is, so that we're not going to send an expiration email when we actually already have an updated record. Press save. I'm going to send an email. I'll choose that. I think it's this. Yep. And maybe we're sending it to the family this time. You get a choice. And if on your family emails. And if you've added other email fields, those will show up here also. Maybe here is where we're also putting, oh, I did not make my time. It took me longer to talk through this. I'm looking at my time. And then we'll send this from the support here. I'm going to go and update my time. Here, schedule. Oh, can I get it? Give me 2 minutes. Save. Now I'm going to do double check. I'm going to go to a report, family reports, hide this stuff. Go. And I'm going to go for filter out blank. And let's say we've got oh, that's okay. Document expiration date is not empty. I think I'm going to get an email on all of these. I have to go here and edit and add a field to see if any of them have. I think that's it. I think I just missed my time too. Did it do it? Is it 10:38? It's 10:38. Let's see if we got any auto actions. No. Do we family documents scheduled every day? Next run date, unless it hasn't quite run because it's looking now for those. My assumption is I'm getting an email for a couple of those that I would receive at some point in time. But you know, this isn't pulling it out. So because it's the timing is weird and quick, let's just talk about some of the things that you can see with this scheduled auto action. So you can see under advanced options, the history. This will show you every time that this actually ran. If it is an email, it'll give you more details. Let's see if I can find one. Sending an email. No, no one's broken. Let's go here. So we can see every time, this is the auto action. It was already filtered on that. Who did it go to? Who was it emailed, etc. All the information around that specific email. Okay, so I can see a lot of, from here, if there was a sending error. By and large, 95% of the time, a sending error happens when your email account and SAM have become disconnected. It only requires a re-authentication. Gmail users, oh, I'm trying to remember what the time frame is. I can't remember if it's every 90 days. Gmail just disconnects you. It just does. We don't have any choice in that. That's a Google policy. So you'll have to do that. When your email becomes disconnected on the homepage, when you log in, you'll get a red alert that says you need to act on that. And then here, this other one, the view history, shows you, every time this particular auto action went out and who triggered it, the specific ID. This is a little technical, but for sure this is helpful for our team to come in and help you with that, or if there's any error messages there and why it didn't go out. The other thing under advanced options is modification history. Modification history lets us know who is updating this particular auto action and what are we updating it from, to what sort of things are we updating. So our team uses modification history all the time to just verify what clients let us know about what's going on so we can kind of troubleshoot. And then cancel unsent emails. This is, if any did not get sent for some reason and you don't want to go backwards and send to a bunch of people, you can let them all go. You're able to disable the auto action. And I'm a big fan of deleting auto actions that are no longer used. So that's, we're at 10:40. At this point, I'd like to let you guys have an opportunity to ask questions. Like, I didn't get to all the auto actions that I wanted to share. There's a lot of stuff going on. So do you guys have any questions? I can't see you yet, but yeah, open for you to ask.
Stephanie, this is Stephanie from Adoption and Beyond. I just want to tell you, I really like this new format of your SAM talk. So this is really helpful. Thank you.
Oh, good, sweet, glad. I think I'll like it too.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything about auto actions?
I have a quick question. It's David.
Yeah, David, you looked ready to ask.
When you made your template, you put a multi-record field on there, but it's not a multi-record template. When do you have to use a multi-record template?
They both were multi-record templates that I built.
Well, they were, but then you choose that. You didn't click on the multi-record templates on the auto action when you chose your.
I did. You may not have seen me. This will tell you it's the multi-record template based off the placements. If I go back over here and go to tables on template, you'll see it's up here. I'm not positive because I have a slightly different view than full admins. I'm betting you don't see edit and you don't see developer, it will just say for multi-record table and then placements is what it should show for you. I clicked it, but it probably kind of quick.
See that? Okay, cool.
Yeah. Anything else? Let me see here also. Was it here? Well, actually, on this template, this is something that is new. These accordions are here now. I'm trying to think what they're here for. Templates for sure. Reports. You'll see them on reports too. We maybe have them in another spot. I can't quite remember. But when you open this up, it will show you things it's associated with. Actually, if I refresh this, it should show me the auto action here also. So even if you're starting your search on correcting something or making amendments to something on the template's going to show you the auto action, and on the auto action it shows you the templates to link back. And these are literally links that you can get to adjust stuff. You can change the subject line here, and again, even templates useful for you guys to put in your own memos around it, because there's a lot going on. Anything else? Some folks I don't really know on the call, but you're welcome to ask any questions. We've got another 15 minutes. There's all kinds of manner of things on the templates that you can do. Things like, because this is a template we based around the idea of sending to our team, right? Yeah, I think we can do this actually to end users as well. But when you insert from SAM, you can actually insert a form link. This will take your teammates directly to an internal form in SAM. Now, one of the things that I think we need to do a little bit of development on is opening this option up, because this particular template is based off placements. SAM is only allowing us to go to a form that is a one at a time form and a view form for the specific placement. So I'm only offered placement details. When I say my team needs to do some development to open it up, a lot of times people just want to take their teammates to the child cover page, for example. So it's possible with some fiddling and basically you're doing HTML, but in my mind, I don't want you guys writing HTML. It can, if it's muddied up, it'll mess up the whole thing. So I'd rather you be able to select it. So I'll put in a ticket for that. Literally, let me take a quick screenshot of that, not y'all's faces there, but that'll remind me to create a ticket that'll go in for an improvement to actually allow the cover page. But you can would take the user directly to that specific placement. If you guys remember the example that I used, there were two placements. and I think one of them was like set to 1974 as a start date. We don't care about that one. We care about the one from 2025 for February for today, right? And that's where we're taking them to. Another thing that's helpful, right, is like, let's see, I'm going to say this is helpful, and then I think there's a lot of considerations around it. Insert all fields from form is helpful. I would probably only recommend doing this for printed documents that then you send encrypted. The data that we put into SAM, or you guys put into SAM, I put fake data in, but you guys put real data about real people. It's so confidential in nature that spitting out a print and just emailing it, it can have a lot of information. And SAM doesn't know what you've input and what kind, it just knows these are fields on a form. So being considerate about what data points are going out and then how you take that data out of SAM is a consideration that you guys need to make. But this is a cool feature that'll allow you to stick every field that's there. I don't love this table format. I would build my own table instead, but it dumps all the fields there. Where then, right, where I went and chose the table and the specific field. So I maybe had 2 clicks. I had 2 clicks, got a whole bunch of stuff where I could have put, and they live at this house, or, and it's a foster care placement, or where the placing authority is whoever. So it can drop in a lot more information at one time. Just be mindful of how that template is utilized and how it's moving outside of the database, which then becomes kind of open. Any questions on templates then? Is there anybody that uses auto actions or for emails that you find those to be helpful for you? Let's say, Stephanie, you use them all the time. David, I think your team has a whole bunch of emails for your inquiry staff. What other things that people using them for?
We use them to alert families like upcoming due dates, post-adoption reports. And you're right, we use them in inquiry. All phases, we use auto emails.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any idea of how many you actually have?
Never counted them.
Okay. Well, okay, this is giving me, there's a ton of information in SAM, and our team, because our team is really small, we're always looking for how do we see more information, because SAM is so customizable. You guys have run with the product, and keeping up with y'all is what we love to do, but it is a loaded thing. So there is a lot of information that we're often weeding through. There are reports. Let me just double check. I think I've talked about all those here. So yeah, there are other reports around auto actions in the site that you can find. I just go to the end because I know that's where they exist. There are auto actions reports. I believe everybody has these reports. We need to do some work to get more consistency, maybe even making a dashboard of system things for you guys to find, make that easier. I'm going to pop into this. There are tables when you build a report. Now, yeah, when you build, I think, let me say this, I actually have to preface it because I have this extra layer of permission to see errors and stuff that you guys don't want to see because it's too technical. I may have an access to building reports on auto actions that you don't. I can't honestly remember that, but you may be able to also do this, but you don't see them in the tables and fields list. You only see them when you start building a report. But We have these couple of reports set up. These are going to be specific on sending an email. And if I open this report, I can see all of the email auto actions that I have. So like David, you literally could find how many exacting auto actions you have from a report without hand counting. Nobody really wants you to hand count anything. So there are 42 emails. Only 29 of them have a template associated with it, which means I think this is our testing site. And I think some of our developers, you know, we may even test things without an email specifically to see how it works. That's why things don't match up in our sites the way that they should in yours. But it tells you, you know, the triggering table, how things that you've got them set up, ways that you've got them set up. I don't know that that makes sense. But again, this is an obvious test email. So a lot of our stuff won't make sense sometimes. Who it's being sent from, or no, from, yeah, who it's being sent from, if it's an account or a role reply, it just gives you some information about the auto action. I had used these at one point for, what did I use them for? Seeing what auto actions, I think that you guys may have had, those folks that have been using SAM for a decade and more. They kind of stuff you've got in your site that you're no longer really using. So let me see, I thought there was,
Stephanie, where is this located?
oh, it's under report.
Oh, time out. I found it. I found it.
You did? Or do you
Yes.
have one? There is one. This is what I don't know is if you guys can do this. There is, let me see, there's an auto action history, which showed like how many times did these auto actions actually go out? And I think it's then when I build, it's under here. And the thing is I'm pretty positive we literally just took out that miscellaneous so you guys can't build them. It's in my goals to get more visibility out to you guys because there's just a ton to keep up with. And a lot of times you guys want to know what's in there. So if I set this up on the email history, I cannot remember what all we can see, but it's going to give us more information than I think you ever knew existed about the thing. Where is the title? Well, that's good enough. And then add fields, email history. Well, let's put in the name because I'm not sure the different. Was it canceled by somebody? That may have been there. Is there a sending error? Who was it triggered by? This is an interesting link. You can literally send emails that did not get sent for some reason. Add field, let's look over here. Is this going to show us if it's broken? And then this may be a new field that as we really are working on the back end, trying to build things out that help us help you guys easier, whether it's enabled. None of this stuff is advanced if there's a next run date. So let's just take a look at what this looks like. Of course, I don't know why I've got a bug on this, but I don't mind that look of that error. It may be that I required this history to be there, perhaps. Nope. So it may be all manner of things that I don't know. I was trying to give you guys all back end stuff, but maybe I jumped too far. We have a few more minutes. Yeah, what you got?
Answer your original question. We have 226 currently enabled.
Wow, yeah. There's a lot. I can imagine Adoption Beyond has a whole bunch. Nightlight for sure has a lot, like hundreds and hundreds sort of thing. I was saying Liana, I don't see her face anymore, but Liana has helped build out a lot of those. They've got gobs and gobs that are, a lot is going on. if you ever have an issue where you think an auto action should have taken place and it didn't, totally send that our way. I just want to make sure you know where help is. Create a ticket, let us know. We're often going to go through how do you have it set up, your example record. Do the criteria match the things? Do they match in the order, right? So as an example, we're looking here, if I had a program associated on this filter and I updated this trigger without the program field being entered, SAM is not going to do what you want it to do. So you have to have your conditions or your dependencies entered before or at the same time as that trigger happening. So that's going to be a really important thing to do. What else? Can I answer anything else? Chu, have you played with any of this at all?
I have one.
No, not too much with, especially with the news site, but we have like a few basic alerts, but nothing
Yeah.
like too intricate.
Okay. Steve, did you have something?
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the available fields for this report. Is there a last run date? Am I missing that somewhere?
What do you mean? Are you missing it? Can you not see it? Or the data is not entered or what?
I'm just looking for auto actions and if there's a last run date field, there's something where it tells you the last time it actually ran. That would help us in
Yeah.
cleaning it up if they're never.
Yeah, I thought there was, because I think that's really what we were looking at before, because we were like, if these auto actions haven't run in 3 years, why are we keeping this? But I don't see that on either of those, and I can't, let me see if, oh no. Send email. Perhaps it's here that I really should have been on. I'll change this up a little bit. Add fields, auto action history. The date, I don't know if it's called this instead. Right, well, let's look at this. I think this may be it. This auto action history date time on the auto action history table. Can you access that, Steve? You're still on the old version too, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have modified tables on it right now. Yeah, I can, it looks like it, yeah.
So I'm thinking this is the field that is telling you the last time that this ran, where then if I sorted this ascending, I see a whole bunch of things in this particular site, right? Where I built it at a certain point in time and it never ran. And of course, in this site, this is a test site that I think even gets updated kind of regularly. So I'll never have a good history here, but you guys would have a history. I will try and get some clarification on that and maybe update our guides, because I'm not clear. I can tell I'm not clear. Not as
Based on
clear as
what
I'm-
I'm doing right now, I have a feeling that it's gonna show me the entire history, not. So I mean, I'll be able to figure out the last, obviously by that, but
You mean like every single time? Yeah, because
I
I'm
think so.
wondering, this is hit, 6 times. You may have something that's, thousands of times over the 5 or so
Yeah.
plus years that you've been working with Sam, which then that's going to be not helpful. Where I wonder if there's to your point, the last, like the current latest sort of a thing. I don't know. I need to check. So I will find more information on that and update guides and try and get a newsletter out that shares this information. Well, it's 11. I think y'all have things to do. I have things to do. It was a pleasure seeing you all. Thank you so much for joining. Next Wednesday, we're going to have another call just like this. We'll record it. I will put these up into the guide section. I'll send out a message here shortly that shares that information with you. And That next week, we're going to be in reports talking about bulk update, bulk insert records, sending bulk emails. All right. If you have things you want to know about, send us an email at support@inreachsolutions.com. Otherwise, have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Steven, hey,
No,
good to see you.
good to see you. Huh?
Oh, let me actually stop this.